The New Jersey thrash titans known as Overkill have released 20 studio albums throughout the past 40-plus years, proving time and again how aggressively hardworking and musically consistent they've been. And from that sizable catalog, I'll be counting down my 20 favorite songs, as well as giving brief reviews and other details on each and every track. Stick around. Starting with a track from their 15th studio album, Ironbound, released in 2010 by Nuclear Blast Records. This is The Green and Black. So the track opens with a slow-chorded bass line accompanied by echoing single guitar notes, serving as the calm before the storm. And when the drums and martial riffing come in, it's quickly followed by fast and aggressive thrash. Blitz then comes in with his snarls and shrieking yells, always with his aggressive melody in the mix. The track itself is one of the longest songs at 8+ minutes, and as a result has the time to bring in multiple tempo changes and various instrumental passages, adding an epic feel to those more drawn-out segments. And of course, the song title references the band's signature colors, which appear everywhere from album art to a number of vinyl variants to their overall stage presentation. Lyrics are definitely a statement of intent. I mean, the line, "The green and black is back," definitely lets you know that this is an undeniable comeback album, an album which we will reference again later in this list for sure. Anyways, Overkill has performed The Green and Black 93 times, making it the 32nd most played song in their set. So at number 20 is The Green and Black. Next up is a song from their 16th studio album, The Electric Age, released in 2012 by Nuclear Blast Records. This is Electric Rattlesnake. So the song kicks in right away with a tight chugging riff and classic Blitz snarls, this time sharp and immediate. Lots of speed and aggression in this one, and the solos here are utterly unhinged. Chorus is certainly catchy and even a little anthemic. Also, really loving the mid-track breakdown, which allows Dee Dee's cool bass lines to come to the fore, but also some lower range crooning from Blitz. You can also hear a little bit of Sabbath in the main riff. Anyways, this was also the lead single for The Electric Age, and you could definitely hear why. And in fact, this is the only song from the album that made my list. Anyways, Overkill has performed this track live around 457 times in their career, making it the 6th most played song in a concert setting. So at number 19 is Electric Rattlesnake. Next is a track from their 5th studio album, Horoscope, released in 1991 by Megaforce Records. This is Coma. So the track begins with a slow and haunting acoustic riff, accompanying bass accents and some melodic moans from Blitz. But soon enough, the machine gun riffing barges in and it's total thrash madness going forward. Drums are relentless and slamming throughout, along with some insane double bass brought in where it counts. We also once again get a mid-track breakdown with some serious groove, largely led by bass, and then ripping trade-off solos, which is to say that this is where we lose Bobby Gustafson and then gain 2 guitarists, Merritt Gant and Rob Canavino. Incidentally, they're utterly amazing on this record. Also, the lyrics here are killer, aimed sharply at mindless authority and the complicity it demands. Overall, it's fast, angry, and intense. Anyways, Overkill has performed this track a little over 300 times, making it the 12th most played song in their live sets. So at number 18 is Coma. Next up is a song from their 19th studio album, The Wings of War, released in 2019 by Nuclear Blast Records. This is Last Man Standing. So a pulsating warning buzz and some industrial sounds lead us into an utterly crushing riff, along with thunderous drums, but then it slips effortlessly into solid speedy thrash, broken up by well-placed stop-starts and riff switches. A definitely catchy chorus accented by gang shouts, and I especially love the chants of fight throughout. Speaking of lyrics, this track is largely about survival and endurance, a couple things this legacy thrash band knows quite a bit about. The drumming in particular is just insane with both speed and fills. Of course, this is when Jason Bittner came in, but then left after Scorched. Still, he's a real strength on this record, and this song shows that in spades. Also, Last Man Standing was a single, including a 12-inch picture disc release for it, with Batshit Crazy on the B-side. And we might talk about that B-side track in a few, since it's definitely on my list. Last Man Standing has also been performed live by the band a little over 60 times, making it the 45th most played concert track for them. So at number 17 is Last Man Standing. Next is a track from their 20th studio album, Scorched, released in 2023 by Nuclear Blast Records. This is Scorched. So the track begins with an isolated noodly guitar passage, quickly joined by intermittent power chords and epic drums. Then it shifts over to rapid riffing and Blitz's vocal attack, all of which broken up on occasion by more mid-tempo groove. Chorus is anthemic with gang shouts, followed by a bit of stomp post-chorus, as well as more of that stomp mid-track, bringing us to yet another classic Overkill breakdown segment, utterly deserving of slow headbangs. Pinch a Sabbath before the solos, which are manic and all over the place, including some of the bass lines intertwined. Track definitely leans on a catchy sing-along chorus for sure, but there's still plenty of aggression to go around in the other parts. Anyways, Overkill has performed this track a little over 100 times, making it the 29th most played song live. So at number 16 is Scorched. Next up is a song from their 18th studio album, The Grinding Wheel, released in 2017 by Nuclear Blast Records. This is Mean Green Killing Machine. So the track opens with a tribal drum beat, joined soon enough by a crunching riff that evolves quickly. Then the main riff seamlessly fades in and the full kick-in happens, driving everything forward with a mid-pace, with some occasional faster moments. It's a longer song at about 7.5 minutes, but it definitely keeps listener attention throughout with a cool melodic vocal passage at about mid-track, as well as some Sabbath groove and swagger, the soloing, and more than a couple tempo changes. Lyrics are pretty much about the endurance of the band, effectively making them the mean green killing machine. A lot of pride and defiance in that accomplishment is reflected as well. I mean, despite their age, they're still here and still kicking ass. Also, this is the second single from the album with just the song and no B-side. Anyways, Overkill has performed this track 209 times, making this the 19th most played song in concert. So at number 15 is Mean Green Killing Machine. Next is the track from their 19th studio album, The Wings of War, released in 2019 by Nuclear Blast Records. This is Batshit Crazy. So track opens with a pounding riff with drums to match, and then into some of the band's more punk-fueled side, giving Blitz plenty of opportunity for derisive snarl and growl, especially in the utterly dizzying chorus. Mid-track is where we get an abrupt tempo shift to acoustic guitar and swirling, haunting vocals, but soon enough it leaps into the deranged solo work because batshit crazy, right? Of course, since it's Overkill, they also find some humor amidst the craziness, so both are here in the lyrics. And as I said before, this was the B-side of the Last Man Standing single, but I wouldn't have minded them switching it to the A-side because it just kills. Also, this is likely my favorite song on The Wings of War at this point. And as far as I can find, this song has never been played live by the band. Of course, if you've heard otherwise, you should let me know in the comments because this is a song that was simply made for an Overkill show. And the pit to follow. So at number 14 is Batshit Crazy. Next up is a song from their 15th studio album, Ironbound, released in 2010 by Nuclear Blast Records. This is Bring Me the Night. So the track opens with a drum roll leading into a speedy and almost no-wabum style riff, interspersed with more traditional Overkill thrash riffing. Plenty of tempo and riff changes throughout, alternating between speed and chord-heavy mid-pace moments. Definitely tight and menacing. Lyrics here are about power and rebellion, but also about assertiveness and getting what you want through action, expressed well by Blitz's measured and gritty delivery. The song is a little over 4 minutes long, but it just flies by so fast, you'd swear it was shorter. To be fair, it is the shortest song on the album, so maybe it also feels shorter by comparison to the other tracks. Anyways, Bring Me the Night was a single for the band, including a 7-inch picture disc version with Give a Little on the B-side. The song had been performed by the band approximately 411 times, making it the 8th most played track in concert. So at number 13 is Bring Me the Night. Next is a track from their second studio album, Taking Over, released in 1987 by Megaforce Records. This is In Union We Stand. So the track kicks off with a driving metal riff alongside Blitz's more power metal vocal style. The track itself is certainly slower than most, barely reaching a mid-pace, and certainly more rooted in heavy metal than thrash, not to mention an overall more commercial sound. Even still, it has an infectious anthemic quality to it, including the sing-along chorus, aided by those familiar gang shouts. Still love the line, "They started this, we say when it stops." great line. The solo about mid-track has a lot of hammer-ons and single-note picking, lending more to the heavy metal side of things. Of course, we get a brief breakdown, largely vocal and drums, but then straight into the chorus proper with the rest of the band. Final chorus is repeated and builds up in speed and intensity, but then crescendos with a total power metal ending. Lyrics of this one, as if you couldn't guess, are a call to arms for metal fans. Brotherhood, defiance, strength through metal, all of that. Basically a topic for which Manowar made an entire career. And although not an official single, In Union We Stand was made into a music video, in fact the very first music video from the band, since this is their first album during Megaforce's deal with Atlantic, I'm sure the major label wanted a more accessible track for the video, and so here it is. Anyways, Overkill has performed this track almost 400 times, making this the 9th most played song for the band. Definitely a staple in even their modern set lists. So at number 12 is In Union We Stand. Next up is another song from their second studio album, Taking Over, released in 1987 by Megaforce Records. This is Power Surge. So, track opens with a menacing bass line leading straight into the slamming drums, staccato thrash riffing, and Blitz's classic power vocals, but maybe also with a hint of gallop to the verse riff. Speaking of the beat, this would be the final album for Rat Skates on drums, the guy who gave us the Overkill logo and that green and black color theme, incidentally. Anyways, chorus gives us more gang shouts, given the anthemic thrust of the track. Lyrics are about power and transformation, but maybe also about thrash as a source of strength in general. Lots of whammy soloing at mid-track, but strangely, no breakdown. And breakdowns aren't really needed here, as the relentless drive of the track wouldn't benefit from such an interruption. Also, love the scream that takes us out at the end. Classic Blitz. Anyways, Power Surge have been played live roughly 240 times, making it the 15th most played track in concert for the band. So anyways, at number 11 is Power Surge. Next is yet another track from their second studio album, Taking Over, released in 1987 by Megaforce Records. This is Deny the Cross. So the track kicks in with distorted epic power chords and marching drums, building anticipation for the crushing power thrash assault to follow, with fast and razor-sharp riffs, containing a heavy dose of classic East Coast aggression. Lyrics are bold and powerful, and some of my favorites from this band. Still getting a lot of power metal vibrato and wails from Blitz at this point, but again with plenty of hostility. We also get some vocal variety with a manically screamed pre-chorus, which is fantastic. Plus another blood-curdling scream at the end, similar to Power Surge, but with more intensity, really capping off the song. As for the lyrics, they're certainly filled with religious blasphemy, as the title might suggest, but it's mostly about killing, which was par for course with bands of this era, even on a major label release, which I'm sure the PMRC would have reminded us of had we forgotten. Anyways, Overkill has performed this track 226 times, making it the 17th most played song on their set list. So at number 10 is Deny the Cross. Next up is a song from their debut studio album, Feel the Fire, released in 1985 by Megaforce Records. This is Overkill. And no, not a Motorhead cover. So as the track begins with the sound of blowing wind and a slow fade up of an eerie single-note picking riff, leading to Blitz's declarative vocal intro that sets the tone for the horror story to follow. Drum hits and cymbal chokes come in for accent during this part, and others, which soon enough switch over to a mix of heavy chords and something of a menacing gallop riff. Really love the chorus in this song, utilizing gang barks, alternating with Blitz's blasphemous attack lines. Some nice variety in the midsection as well, along with the main riff, which is also momentarily revisited by bass. And not only does the song conclude with a seriously held note from Blitz, but then follows a series of screamy barks on the word kill repeatedly. Then the music just fades out. Some might know this is the first installment of a multi-part series of songs that continue on future albums. There are 5 in total, with Overkill 5, the brand, appearing on their Immortalis album from 2007. In fact, we're going to discuss one of those other sequel songs later in this list, so maybe stick around for that. Anyways, Overkill has performed this track 266 times, making it the 13th most played song in their live shows. So at number 9 is Overkill. Next is a track from their 5th studio album, Horoscope, released in 1991 by Megaforce Records. This is Nice Day for a Funeral. So after a quick faded up scream, the pummeling main riff steps in with plenty of chug and palm mutes to go around, leading to one serious head-banging passage. Distant wailing guitars are added for color, but then end once the verse riff takes over, alongside Blitz's sharp and punchy vocals. Very riffy song overall, so nothing stays in one place for long. Really love the chorus riff and vocal combo, full of darkness and portent. The midsection is particularly compelling with its initial slow and menacing segment, but then jumping over to a martial beat and somber guitar wails, but then back to variants on the main staccato riff soon enough to bring things back up. Repeated chorus follows along with distant vocal embellishments, and then fades into a variant of the intro riff to the next song, connecting it musically to that. Anyways, Overkill has performed this track 73 times, making it the 40th most played song in a concert setting. So at number 8 is Nice Day for a Funeral. Next up is a song from their 4th studio album, The Years of Decay, released in 1989 by Megaforce Records. This is Birth of Tension. So the track opens with open chords, quickly followed by a speedy and then mid-paced chug, but goes full tilt in the aggression for the choruses, including Blitz's screaming of the word tension, which gets more manic as the song goes, which I love. A bit of a breakdown mid-track, as you might expect, with a series of quick palm-muted runs, lots of cymbal chokes for accent, and double bass that follows along. Also, plenty of whammy in the soloing, along with dive bombs and shred, then back to the chorus and the end. Lyrics are clearly about dealing with life's tensions, both in physical and psychological terms. It's dark, but also a very high-energy track. Anyways, Overkill has performed this song a little over 40 times, making it the 60th most played track live. So anyways, at number 7 is Birth of Tension. Next is the track from their debut studio album, Feel the Fire, released in 1985 by Megaforce Records. This is Raise the Dead. So the track begins with wind, a heartbeat, and what sounds like someone stumbling around a lot and heavy breathing. But about 40 seconds later, the song kicks in with a series of dramatic power chords and drum hits to accent, along with a sinister laugh. But once the gong strikes, the double bass madness and crushing thrash riffing punches through, and Blitz totally assaults with his aggressive melodic rasp. Always loved Rat Skates' drum sound and performance during his time in this band, and this track is definitely one of his high points. Anyways, a shreddy solo follows, and throughout, a lot of highly audible, speedy bass work. The bridge has some nice power vocals from Blitz, but he soon enough switches mostly back to more aggression for the final verse. Track ends with a screamy repeat of the song title and a dramatic live-sounding crescendo and stop. Anyways, lyrics for this one have a solid mix of transformation, prophecy, resurrection, and fear. Back when classic thrash bands were still tackling more dramatic and more occult topics. Hearing this, I'm reminded how good Overkill was at pulling off this type of lyric, along with power vocals and thrash riffs. It's a style that really worked for them over the years. Anyways, Overkill has performed this track 37 times, making it the 65th most played song in concert, which is a shame because they really should bring this one out more often. So anyways, at number 6 is Raise the Dead. Next up is a song from their 3rd studio album, Under the Influence, released in 1988 by Megaforce Records. This is Head First. So the track starts with a bass and drum passage, providing some anticipation for what's to follow. Then the crunchy and highly distorted riff comes in that builds on itself, reminding me a lot of Anthrax in that regard. But then a cool bass line breaks through along with aggressive guitar palm mutes and alternating ringing chords. Then it goes to an isolated passage of Blitz singing the verse line to a simple beat and a bass line to go along with it. Interesting because the verse is a breakdown part and not shoved into the midsection like other Overkill songs, but it serves well to build further anticipation for the mid-paced thrash segment in the chorus, which is just heavy and catchy and well worth singing along to, including the gang-shouted song title. Lots of note bending and whammy for the solo, along with pick slides and hammer-ons. Overall, totally unhinged and awesome work from Gustafson. Love the false ending with the final solo that quickly comes back for one more chaotic assault, and then fades out. So clearly the song is about getting laid, though oddly enough not specifically about oral sex, because you would think, right? Head first? Anyways, they've done this kind of thing before on previous albums, and in contrast to most thrash bands of the time who often avoided the subject of carnal relations. Must be all that good Jersey upbringing and culture. Of course, you could look deeper into the song and interpret it as diving into a situation in general with full commitment, but I'm still going with sex here. And yes, this is my favorite song on Under the Influence. No contest. Anyways, the song was a 12-inch promo single on its own, as well as the B-side of the Hello from the Gutter 12-inch promo single. Also, Overkill has performed this track 21 times, making it the 82nd most played song from their set list. So, note to Overkill, please play this song more often. Anyways, at number 5 is Head First. Next is a track from their 5th studio album, Horoscope, released in 1991 by Megaforce Records. This is Bare Bones. So, track opens with a creepy piano passage that's straight out of the King Diamond playbook. I mean, why not, as it works to bring in some tension and mood. Anyways, 20 seconds in is joined by dramatic power chords and ambient background sounds. Of course, it all builds to a switch to crushing bass and guitar riffage, and then another quick jump to rapid riff triplets and D beats, with Blitz singing the verse. But when that chorus riff comes in, it is utterly pulverizing and bang-worthy. Naturally, the title is gang-shouted, along with screamy alternating lines from Blitz. And as you can likely guess, the track is very riffy. Tons of switch-ups, as well as a quick toss in of the piano melody following the solo, but also other unexpected shifts throughout. Speaking of the solo, it simply rips in pure picking speed, alternating with some cool fretwork. Then the song ends with a scream and a quick stop. Lyrics here cover the subject of gaining clarity through stripping away the pretense, especially as a means to get what you want. A bit of a declaration in that sense, and seemingly with very few song lines when compared to the other tracks on the album. Anyways, Overkill has performed this track 46 times, making it the 56th most played song in their live shows. So at number 4 is Bare Bones. Next up is a song from their 4th studio album, The Years of Decay, released in 1989 by Megaforce Records. This is Elimination. So track kicks in right away with the main riff, along with sharp accenting drum and bass beats. Then it dives quickly into the verse with a snappy and precise speed run from all involved, including Blitz's searing vocal delivery that is clearly angry, but like the rest of the band, super precise. Chorus slows down a bit, but retains its punch and heaviness with the repeated song title. Really dig the second chorus in particular, with Blitz's added lines that rattle off hard, delivering us to a simple but strong bridge. Then we get to the solo with some variety in speed and mood, and then back to verse and chorus, and then a totally shred outro to close things out. As for the lyrics, the song is largely about the AIDS epidemic of the time, and my favorite line has always been, "Last one out closes the coffin door." However, it's not an attack on AIDS victims, but rather a track about coming to grips with an incurable disease in general, and dealing with the fear and hopelessness that comes with that. So the song was made into a promotional single, with the song repeated on both sides. It also has a music video, which is well worth checking out if you've never actually seen it, or simply haven't watched it in a while. Anyways, Overkill has performed this track 820 times, making it the 3rd most played song in concert. Amazing. And makes a lot of sense as well. Anyways, at number 3 is Elimination. Next is another track from their 4th studio album, The Years of Decay, released in 1989 by Megaforce Records. This is Evil Never Dies. So the track begins with a series of guitar volume fade-up notes, lending to a creepy and almost classical music vibe. About a minute in, it switches to a callback to the end riff of Overkill 3 from the previous album, but then transfers to a pummeling verse section with speedy thrash drumming, relentless riffing, and rapid singing from Blitz. In fact, even the change in riff of the chorus still doesn't let up on the speed, save for the quick melodic acoustic flourish at the end of the chorus. Also, another really riffy song that flies through change-ups and manic solos. But then we get another one of those famous mid-section breakdowns, but this time with a clanging, groovy bass line, which always reminds me of a metal version of the Peter Gunn theme. At any rate, it brings us to the first bridge, which is certainly strong, but that second bridge is just brutal, as Blitz spits out increasingly rapid-fire lyrics, similar in style to what Mustaine did with the bridge to Liar. The difference, of course, is that Blitz's bridge is just way more proficient and crushing, wrapped up with the scream of the song title. Then it's on to the final verses and chorus, a quick callback to the main riff from the first Overkill song, and a blood-curdling scream, at which point the song simply just cuts out. Perfect. You know, what's funny is that the song's acronym spells out END, implying that this is the conclusion to the Overkill song saga. But as I mentioned, there is a 5th installment. And I just can't help think that, much like Friday the 13th, the final chapter, there is yet another movie anyways. So, not so final, not really an end. Hilarious. Anyways, Overkill has performed this track 100 times, making it the 31st most played song in their set list. So, at number 2 is Evil Never Dies. Next up is a song from their debut studio album, Feel the Fire, released in 1985 by Megaforce Records. This is, of course, Rotten to the Core. So, track opens with one of the most head-bangable riffs in Overkill's catalog, drawing us right away into the pure thrashing mayhem of this song. It's briefly interrupted by Blitz's cackling laugh and a short pounding passage, but then goes back into the fray. Lots of gang shouts for accent, but more to the fore in the choruses, since they're just the song title repeated. We get a few solos throughout, ranging from heavy melodic to all-out shred. And again, those amazing drums from Rat, which are often one of the strong suits of the entire Feel the Fire album, if we're being honest. A number of interesting change-ups, but not as many as other songs here. Largely, Rotten to the Core is simple and straightforward in structure, but has such anthemic impact that it holds its own with even some of the more complicated tracks in the band's catalog. Also, listen closely for some of Didi's bass flourishes between riffs, which he does in a few of the other tracks in this list too. Really love the final lines from Blitz as he practically barks the word rot repeatedly before finishing off the song title, at which point the track ends. And as I briefly mentioned before, this is certainly an anthem for the band, even if the overall lyrics are about someone with a dark past and probably an even darker present. Also, it seems I've been singing one of the lines incorrectly in this song for the last 40 years. I thought the line, "a tribute to insanity," was actually, "I'll take you to insanity," so even I learned a thing or two doing this channel. That, and I probably should have read the lyric sheet a little closer as a kid. And to the surprise of absolutely no one, this track has been performed 867 times, making it the #1 played song at an Overkill show. Definitely an indisputed classic, and one I always sing along to when they play it live. Can't be helped. So my #1 favorite Overkill song is Rotten to the Core. So there are probably some songs that people expected but didn't get in my list, including Hello from the Gutter. I like the song, but it also skitters into more predictable commercial territory for me and thus isn't as high on my consideration list. Still like it, just don't love it. But I do have a strong love for some of Overkill's deep cuts, which did appear on my list, such as Batshit Crazy, Head First, and Nice Day for a Funeral. Always loved those songs since they came out, and so they had to make my list. And of course, my favorite Overkill song will always be Rotten to the Core, which is a fan favorite for a reason. But personally, it brings me back to 1985 when I bought Feel the Fire as a teenager and single-handedly turned me into an Overkill fan. Also saw the tour for Feel the Fire the following year with Slayer headlining, and it's still my favorite concert ever. And as some might have noticed, I also left out cover tunes, notably Fuck You and Sonic Reducer, but others too. They're incredible renditions, especially Sonic Reducer, but they aren't originally Overkill songs, so I chose not to include them. But many of them still deserve plenty of your attention. Also, this list reminded me that Overkill has some recurring stylistic elements that make their way through their discography, including the reliance on gang vocals and mid-track breakdowns. Not a criticism from me. In fact, I'm a bit of a sucker for when they do these things, so no harm, no foul. And I do on occasion miss Blitz's power metal style of the past. Not always, of course, as I also dig his aggression throughout. But perhaps I'm best with his voice when power, melody, and aggression are all there. But maybe that's just me. So that's my list of top Overkill songs, but I'm sure you have your own choices. You should let me know your favorite Overkill songs. Maybe come up with your own top 10 or top 20. At any rate, let me know that and anything else this video brought to mind in the comments below. Of course, if this video is your introduction to my channel, just so you know, my name is Matt. This is the Accusation Network, where each and every week I do videos on metal vinyl collecting, but also classic and modern metal in general. If you haven't subscribed to my channel and would like to see a lot more of my content, you should definitely hit that subscribe button. Super appreciate it. Maybe also hit like for this video and share out this and other videos of mine with your friends on social media. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.